Great. Okay, all right.
Welcome. We're live.
Okay, namaskar and welcome to our webinar series, Reimagining College Placement Drive. My name is Munish Chawla. I'm the co-founder of platform Jeevitam, livelihood platform Jeevitam. We help people find livelihood. We have around 1.5 crore work seekers on our platform. This is our 11th webinar in our webinar series. And we have been getting a lot of encouraging response from all the students like you from across India who are looking to become Atma Nirbhar, who are looking in this crisis to find a sustainable livelihood. And that has been our endeavor for these webinar series where we help the students find sustainable livelihood. और जब हम ये कर रहे हैं, when we are doing this, we are basically asking 5 questions to everyone, and wherein we are asking these questions in the context of the ongoing crisis is when the colleges are closed, when the corporates are not traveling, and when students are at home, can college placement drive take place? We have been asking this very pertinent question because today many colleges students have still not got degrees, and who have got degrees, they still not know how to find work. So can the college placement drive happen? When we are asking these questions, we are also asking the question whether the college placement drive should take place in those colleges where it has never taken place, because there are hundreds and thousands of colleges across India where this college placement has never ever taken place, and especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. Third question we are asking is, whether this college placement drive can happen for BA, BCom, BSc, diploma holders, ITI students. This is the question which we are asking to everyone. And fourth question we are asking, why not first year, second year, third year students also, do have college placement drive done for them, because they can look into apprenticeship, internship, freelancer, part-time jobs. There are so many opportunities which are available to them. And the last question which we are asking, why students, should not, this college placement drive should only happen once in a year. Why not till every student in a college find work? So we are, this is our movement. This is a students' movement, which is basically helping them become Atma Nirbhar. So we have been in the last 10 webinars, we have got array of speakers who have been luminaries in their own field, who are working for the betterment of the students, and who had so much to share with you all. And we continue this week also, and today we have with us very prominent personality with us, Gayatri with us, who has so much of experience in the industry, in the field of livelihood. She's an example for all the women over here who are looking at getting into the work. She is someone, we look upon for guidance, for mentorship. She is the person today, very thankfully agreed to be part of this webinar. So I welcome all to you for our 11th webinar series in Student Banega Atma Nirbhar. So over to you, Teji. I think some problem in video.
स्कूल की लाइन में लगे एक आंख बंद किए इधर उधर ताकते, इसका मतलब शायद मालूम ही नहीं था। कॉलेज की भीड़ में दोस्तों के साथ ठाके लगाते भी कामयाबी पानी तो थी, मगर हम होंगे कामयाब ये सोचने की ना जरूरत थी ना मौका। माँ की नसीहतें और पिता के सहारे के बीच हम होंगे कामयाब के मायने समझना थोड़ा मुश्किल था। हम होंगे कामयाब का असली मतलब तो तब समझ आया जब जिंदगी ने हाथ छुड़ाकर कहा, ये तुम्हारी लड़ाई है, सिर्फ तुम्हारी। लड़ो, गिरो, उठो, फिर लड़ो, फिर गिरो, फिर उठो, अगर उठ सको। लड़ने ने, गिरने ने और गिर कर उठने ने हिम्मत तो जगाई ही, साथ ही जगाया यकीन। और इस यकीन को हकीकत बनाने में आपके साथ है जीवतम।
अब परिवर्तन लाना है, लक्ष्य तो हमें पाना है, होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। हाँ, होंगे कामयाब एक दिन, होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
आइए मिलकर भारत को कामयाब बनाते हैं।
सरकार की सहायता रोजगार के साथ जोड़ करके नई इकाइयों के लिए सरकार अब योजना बनाएगी। देश में रोजगार के अवसर बढ़े, उस पर हम बल देना चाहते हैं।
होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन, ये एक हमारा ये एक सोच है। और हर स्टूडेंट बनेगा आत्मनिर्भर, ये एक हमारी मूवमेंट है। मैं अब आप सबको, केजी सर, ओवर टू यू फॉर द वेबिनार।
Thanks, Munish. Srishti, can you have our profile of Dr. Gayatri Vasudevan on the screen? Great. So it's an honor and privilege to introduce a person like Dr. Gayatri to this audience. I think you can't find a better person who can speak about livelihood, and it's a person who speaks not because of a textbook knowledge that she has gained. It's all about her execution on the ground and what she has created, and that's the story we will hear for the next almost 40 minutes, and you can ask questions beyond that. She is a co-founder of LaborNet, and LaborNet is a social enterprise enabling livelihood for the informal sector. She has worked in international roles. I think that's an amazing opportunity for us to leverage what she has experienced there. She has worked with the UN, UNICEF, UNDP, UNESCO, NORAD, and it can just go on and on. The list is endless. She was mentioned as one of the top 50 women in business by Business Today, an Entrepreneur of the Year in Social Business category by the Forbes magazine in 2018. Now, what's critical to know about Dr. Gayatri is she's a go-getter. She spends her time on Sundays talking to youngsters to keep hustle young. And I'm not sure who feels more young, Dr. Gayatri or the youngsters, because inspired by a woman of achievement is always a motivation for youngsters to know what's all that's going to lie ahead in future. And especially in these times when uncertainty is the word of the day, she will try her best to explain to people that even in times of uncertainty, there is the ability of getting to become certain, which is in your hands. And that mantra will be shared by her over the next 40 minutes. And if you look at the way she has achieved this success, the model of work integrating training ensures that individuals, that while they continue to earn, so it's also a possibility. That is, when you learn, you can earn. And she'll tell us how that can be done. Now, look at the most powerful achievement so far. In the last 3 years, LaborNet has scaled up very fast, and its presence is now in 450 locations across India, and has impacted the lives of more than 300,000 individuals in 15 plus sectors till date. Now, this small introduction of Dr. Gayatri can never ever accomplish what the woman actually is. Neither will the next 40 minutes ever share with us. The best for us is to listen from the horse's mouth herself. We'll ask her questions, we'll have a conversation, and it's going to be a very lively conversation for the next hour. So over to you, Munish. Why don't you start asking and getting to know Dr. Gayatri more?
I think so thankful to you, Gayatri, for being here. I'm sure this session is going to be amazing. Livelihood is the focus of everyone, saving lives and saving livelihood. is something which is, part of this crisis. A lot of students, have been are facing challenge today in context of finding sustainable livelihood. So, I'll just straight away put you into this thing. What is your view of the present situation which is going on, and how you feel, students have to look into by giving your own example. Some students will be very keen to know about your background, what are your views about the present crisis. So over to you, Gayatri.
So you asked me first on the COVID and jobs which is related to the current circumstance. So I think every decade has its own problems, right? When you start a career, it is always difficult to get a job. It is always difficult to start. It's nothing new. Of course, this is unprecedented. I don't think any of us expected something like this. That, of course, stands. So let me go back a little bit into what one could do if you were an undergraduate student and what one could do if you have graduated. Or let me rephrase that and say, well, what is the limited experience I have, I can share with you. So in my undergraduate years, I studied in Delhi University. So in the 3 years, one of the things that I gained a lot is by starting a small non-formal education school. My college allowed it in my college campus. So there were children from the neighborhood who would come and learn there as non-formal education is concerned. But what are the skill sets it taught me, right? It taught me that space is not free. Pay for space. It taught me that somebody has to teach. It's all right to say I will teach, but who is to teach? I'm an 18, 19-year-old. I'm teaching others who are 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. How good is my own mathematics or English or Hindi for us to teach? So it teaches you humility, saying that, you think you know, but do you really know? I don't know how many of you have tried to teach your siblings, your younger siblings, if you teach, how easy is it or how tough it is? Both the questions पूछे जा रहे हैं, हमको ही मालूम नहीं है, how do you deal with it, right? So issues like that. Third, it teaches you is how lucky you are vis-a-vis somebody else. So there is always a continuum, right? Someone is the unluckier one, it's always relative. Someone feels luckier than the other, and someone is more disadvantaged. And you could be on the on that continuum, on the most disadvantaged or the more advantaged. So it's just a relativity. I think it teaches you those three. So for me, my 3 years in my college really taught me that. Because, slowly more children started coming up. I had to convince parents that it's okay for them to come in the evening. I had to obviously do a good job. Otherwise, the children wouldn't be interested. As I had already indicated, I'm not competent to take 4 subjects. I myself was 18, 19 years old. So I think my entire learning from that has been that it's very important to work while you learn. So learning, if you do in absentia, you don't pick up these skill sets. No amount of textbook education is able to give you. Second is, during all my holidays, I actually went to different places. My first time I left home in that sense alone was to go on a train journey to Purulia. From Delhi to Purulia to spend 2 months doing a micronutrition project research. Obviously, if you're that age, you have no competence. So somebody asks you to fill a form. So I was supposed to fill various research forms and submit it. So write it out. But what it taught me was, how do you live outside home? No mother, no cooking. Nobody's giving you the food you like. Your bed is not as comfortable as you have. You have to fold your own clothes. Simple lessons it gives you, right? You can't say, Ma, can you do this for me? You can't say, I want pocket money now. Your father is very far away. Today you have mobile phones. In those days, there was no phone. You had to come to the district headquarters to make us STD call, right? So it teaches you what it means to actually live life independently as an adult. We all think we're ready for adulthood, but adulthood is in my mind, I prefer to be a child than an adult. The children have their own problems, but adulthood has its own problems. So my limited point is, if any of you listening in are undergraduate students, going through your first year, second year, third year. You could be ITI students, you could be doing BCom, BA. I did BA. So if you're doing any of these courses, you're doing engineering, BPharm, whatever the courses that you're doing, please take the time to actually extend yourself, because your school learning or your college learning alone will not give you the perspective life requires you to have. So that's my experience, and I'm just sharing you something which I think worked positively for me. Today, and I'll sort of take Munish's first question. You know, you're in a very difficult time. I had the freedom to go to Purulia, but today you don't have the freedom, right? You can't go from this side to that side. COVID has said, please stay home. How in that are you going to work? Is there no work available for you? No, there's still work available for you. Somebody requires you to do logistic support. They could say be a delivery boy. Every time I order Swiggy, I find a lot of people are students, right? So is that a good job? Is it not a bad job? Don't be judgmental. Every job will teach you. You could teach. As I said, there can be hundreds of jobs which are available. You've seen online teaching is available. Swiggy jobs are available. You could be pickers and packers. So extend yourself. Don't limit yourself. I'm educated, therefore I can only do this job. Who said so? It's your mind. So your mind, open it to be open to all jobs. I think that's my, you know, let me say, given I'm going to be 50 and I'm probably double your age, so I think of it like a parent's advice. Please open your minds. See what is available in the world, and no job is a bad job. There can be any number of jobs from which you can learn, because this age that you are in, between 18 to 25, will not come back again in your life. It's precious. So use that opportunity to learn, but also earn. And while you earn, and the earning will be very minimal then, you may just do the earning for the learning, not for earning itself. It's not like you're going to get a good salary, but the experience it will give you is phenomenal. So Munish, over to you. I think that's my limited point that I wanted to make, is that don't constrain yourself.
I think, you have made very relevant points. When you get into your adulthood, it's something which is a new phase of life which you are getting into. And, you learn so many things. And one of the important aspects, as you rightly say, is we have to be open. There is no job which is, which is, जिसे हम कहते हैं ना, कोई छोटा और बड़ा कोई काम नहीं होता है, काम काम होता है. Okay, we have to look work as a work, not small and big. And there are a lot of opportunities, and every time you learn something from this particular thing. I think, see, one of the things today, which a lot of students are especially not very sure about is, their parents are not allowing them to move out from where they are, because there is a fear which is there. Now, I cannot go out because my parents do not allow me to go out, and being a girl or being a woman, there are a lot many other challenges also. So in your life, I'm sure you must have also faced this challenge, being a woman, to be on your own, to do something, come out, and, just take care of the parents' concerns today thing. What is your view on that?
See, security of girls is always difficult, right? You're always worried. And I can say it as you said, as a woman as well as a mother. I have a daughter who's 25 years old. As both, if I was to take, and then as I tell all our students who are vocational training students in LaborNet, I tell everybody the same thing is, fear is in the mind. Your parents' fear is not wrong. Your parents are worried, right? It's your security that they're wrong. But how do you work around the fear is very, very important. What is it that you need to work around? You need to give them the confidence that you can take care of yourself. The moment they feel you're an adult and you can take care of yourself, then I think a lot more of freedom is coming. Now it's a tough ask compared to a boy or a man and a woman. You find it's a double whammy in that sense. But how do you negotiate that space is very important. So my own take would be, first do things which you can do from home. Show that you are able to be competent, and like any report card, do it. It can be, you can write an article, you can review a book, you can do telephonic work. Several work is telephonic. You can ask the company to give you a specified SIM card so that your phone is not, doesn't have all kinds of, let's say, unsavory characters hitting on you. There are various things that one could do. But it's very important to not lose sight. Just because you are less opportune than the other does not mean you don't take advantage of the opportunity. Your parents are the report card that you have to convince. So if your parents are the people you have to convince, so be it. So put down a list of tasks that you want to do. And that's really what I did, right? My parents were very scared. How will she go to Purulia at that point of time? She's alone. She's never stepped out of home. There's nobody we know. Should we send somebody with her? No, of course, in those days, no mobile phone, which made things far worse. But now it's a total reverse. You can't leave home because of COVID. Plus, you can't leave because you're a girl. So if you combine the two, how do you do? For example, suppose you were to convince your parents that I want to actually ride a bike and go and deliver. Would your parents agree? They say, are you crazy? I mean, who rides a bike? Does a girl ride a bike? But there's a girl in Hyderabad who's opened an entity. Her passion is riding bikes. And she goes and delivers. Every Swiggy guy doesn't have a motorbike. They have a scooty. It is electric. Many of you girls have scooty. You can do it in the day. You don't have to always do only evening. So work out the things. There's digital marketing which is available to you. You can do digital marketing at home. As I said, don't put the quantum of earning first. Put the quantum of learning first. The moment you learn, earning will happen with time.
I think that's a fair point. Quantum of learning should be more than quantum of earning. I think this is my takeaway. Because a lot of us, yes, look at how much money. Because all this college placement is basically very, very focused on what is the salary you are getting. All those things are there. It is what kind of work you are getting, what kind of work experience you are getting. KG, over to you.
He's on mute. KG, you're on mute.
I think what you rightly said, Gayatri, was that extending oneself is key to life. No job is a bad job. Focus on learning and not earning. Summarizes it well. Now, what happens is in college days, you also have vacations. You have time on hand. And that is a time when students are not sure what needs to be done. I think that's a very valuable time that can be used in the same breath to earn for learning. And what are your thoughts on that? How can they do that?
So as I was saying, see, college vacations are approximately about 3 months a year, if not 4 months a year, right? So that means you have 4 months in which you can actually, through your earning, learn. Somebody could give you just 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees max. So what? If it gives you a great opportunity to learn, I think you should take it. You can be a foreman, you can be a delivery executive, you can be digital marketing, tele-counseling. It's not necessary that for every internship, only a paid internship is good. It looks very nice when you're young to make that money. When you're in financial difficulty, your parents will be very happy when you contribute that money. But remember that later in life, the money that you earn then is not a measure of what you learn later. So I'll just go back to my own case. When I was 24 and I started working, I was making 2,500 rupees vis-a-vis my classmates who did corporate jobs, and they were making 11,000 to 13,000 rupees. I'm talking of 1994. Well, it looks very bad, right? You're earning 2,500 rupees vis-a-vis your classmate making 11,000. But today, if I was to compare, what happens? It's a reverse. A lot of people who earned 11,000 in those days didn't move beyond a certain sum. They became mid-management and stayed on. Whereas because of the experience, I think I got rewarded by the market. I'm not saying I've been a success or it's worked for me, but at least I wasn't, let me put it this way, I wasn't a complete failure, right? I learned from a lot from that, and that helped the market respect me, not myself. So when the market respects you, the market will pay what it has to pay. So you will probably, the delta that you spend time in learning, even if it's a low paid job in a variety, is very important. But one very important thing is, do not keep changing. Like, it's not necessary every 2 minutes you change a job doesn't give you the learning that you need.
I think that's again a very good point. I was looking at my salary also. When I joined, I think we both started at the same salary. Okay, I also had 3,000 rupees. In the year 92, 93, I was earning while I was in Bombay. My first job in Bombay, and what learning I had. And what made me what I am today. So what we need to focus on is the quality of work which we are doing. Then the salaries which we get. And because we are very much skewed towards what is the salary which we are getting, and market will pay you what they have to pay you with what you are. Your market is there, so that earning eventually happens. May not happen in the early figure of life, but it happens. See, I think when you say about learnings, what sort of skill sets are today, because I think training is a very important part, learning is a very important part. So should I, when I'm in college, market is not right, should I spend more time in learning? Should I acquire more skill sets? What is that I should do in today's, scenario is something which is going in my mind, in all the students' mind. What is your take on that?
See, today's market is unprecedented. We've never had a time like this, right? So you people have a far more difficult task than any of us on this panel have had. But that does not mean there are no job opportunities. In my opinion, there are a whole set of courses that you can sign up for, right? And today there is abundance of that. Look at it from another perspective, right? If you have born 30 years back in the 1990s, you didn't have access to courses, just didn't have access to courses. You just had few. So Munish or I or KG, given our gray hair, probably didn't have that access. But all of you have that access to courses, right? You can take the courses in English, you can take it in Hindi, Kannada, Tamil, whatever language you want, you can take it in that. You can decide how do you really deal with online courses. You can do that. But my also thing would be, look at what are the practical skills you can learn. Look at the explosion of information which is there. Structured courses, unstructured courses, information which is there, and apply it to your everyday life. I think that's what I would say is very important. In today's world, if you look at it, the logistics sector is exploding. Everything does not have to be IT. So, think of the logistics sector, think of the health sector. I think somebody wrote that girls are being stereotyped and thinking only nursing jobs. Why? Think of jobs for yourself, which are the right jobs for you. The society will stereotype you, but you don't have to stereotype yourself. Change the colors. And I keep saying this, right? If I believe, for example, there was Aishwarya Rai and me. Would you consider us both equally beautiful? How many of you can vote on that? So if I would take a vote, given they're doing, obviously you'd say Aishwarya Rai. Change the rules of the game. Make it 50 plus, make it whatever, plump women, change the rules of the game, then I become Aishwarya Rai can't compete in my box, right? My box is different from her box. That's fine. Why do I have to compete in the same? Change the rules of the game. That's in your hand. So all the girls who are listening in here, change the rules. Rules are for you to make. Don't do wrong, but change the rules. When you change the rules, you're the master of your life. You're the mistress of your life. Change it.
KG.
Perfectly said. I think there are already people are going around and thinking what's the next step to do to change the rules. And let's see if a large number of girls, especially, change the rules during these times. And it won't be surprising because jobs like Uber Moto, which require two-wheeler riders, you all you need to do have the skill of riding two-wheelers. If you enjoy riding two-wheelers, that's the job you have to run after. And there are plenty of them available across the cities today. So having said that, there is always a question, Gayatri, that the immediate need for a person, as we have discussed this, but I think you want to delve a little more deeper, is that there is a financial need and there's something called career planning. So when you come out of college, you're just out of the gate, you're just on the track of getting into the rat race, and you're not sure what to do. And how would you advise students in this frame of mind?
See, it looks like, when you're 22 or 24, that life will finish if you don't get your first job. You ask your parents, you ask your neighbors, you ask your uncles, ask your aunts, check anybody who is over 35. Check with somebody who is over 55. Take two groups, right? Do your own research. You'll find what they studied and what they are now are very different. But don't listen to their perception of success. Listen to facts. Fact is that many of them, what they learned in college to what they're earning is very different. So I think the important thing for you is, from each experience you have, how do you actually have learning from it? So learning is the most important thing in life, I think, right? So when you plan your career, plan for a long-term satisfaction. That is more important, right? Where you're happy, if you're happy somewhere, you'll do well. And I sincerely believe this. If you're unhappy, some say, oh God, I'm going to be a shopkeeper, you will be unhappy. But Big Basket is a shopkeeper, right? What is Big Basket? At the end, it's a big shop. But you celebrate Big Basket. But if it's a Kirana shop, is that good or bad? I had a very interesting person I was speaking to during COVID times, who was in a village in Chhattisgarh. His father had a shop, and this young boy wanted to do something and start an entrepreneurial journey. But his father said there's a shop and a pharmacy shop at that. So don't waste your money, but be there to do something independent. So he was actually discussing as to how should he do it, right? And what would he do? And he had great ideas. I had got no contribution to it. But look at the interest that he had is on how do I expand on who I am. I think that's the key that you really need to work on, is your ability to actually expand yourself. There is no right job at 2022. There is right job for learning at 2022. Your career will find its own way for itself. Don't plan for the next, you have 30 years, 35 years, you can't plan for that. But what you need to plan is that you're stable, you're always hardworking, you're systematic in your capacity to learn and apply it to your next job. That I think is the important one.
I think this is very good. See, one of the things, which you talked about is touched upon is entrepreneurship, which is there. Job seeker or work seeker to work provider is something, which is very, very relevant in today's context, which is there. So why I am, only supposed to look for work? Why cannot be a work provider? Why cannot I be a startup-preneur? Why I cannot be a gig economy worker, or why cannot be a freelancer? So what is your view on entrepreneurship? Because entrepreneurship in today's context is still, a lot of people still do not want to go for entrepreneurship. What is your views on that?
So let's just take this, let's just look at it like this, right? India is a country of entrepreneurs. There are only about maximum 10 to 15% who are in full-time jobs with social protection. So it's a country which is anywhere there. Now the question is, we have celebrated certain types of entrepreneurs and not others. So I think we need to learn to celebrate all types. For example, your kirana shop person is also an entrepreneur. It's okay to celebrate that. The kela wala or the kela wala who's taking kela is also an entrepreneur, but a street vendor. But he is looking at daily earning. How do you move from that daily earning to looking at them earning 6 lakh to 10 lakh revenue is something that you need to think through. So in a year, you put a target to yourself saying, if I was working in a job, I'd like a job which pays me between 2 and 6 lakhs. Same 6 lakhs, if I can do using a small business, there's nothing wrong in it. You have provided for yourself and you probably are providing for at least 1 or 2 people. In that case, just look at the same number, right? If you went for a job, you would get a job which is between, let's assume 20,000. 20,000 into 12 is what? It's about 2 lakh plus is what you're looking at as a job there. Now, if you say that whatever little entrepreneurship, small one that you start, you want to say in 2 years, you create it to be a 6 lakh with less investment, but focus on making it work. In that case, you would have paid yourself 2.4 lakhs or 3 lakhs. Plus, you may actually employ one more person to whom you pay a lakh. So actually, you become a job provider for yourself as well as for your, let's say, friend or your relative who's doing that. And that's India for you. So it's a question of, again, as I said, change the rules of the game, work towards it and create that.
See, one is, entrepreneur. You call yourself a social entrepreneur, what is there? Okay. So what is the difference between an entrepreneur and a social entrepreneur? And how is social entrepreneur, different in terms of earnings, in terms of positioning and all, because my daughter, she wants to become a social entrepreneur. She is a social entrepreneur. So as a father, should I allow her to be a social entrepreneur? You have been a successful social entrepreneur. What is this social entrepreneurship all about in today's context?
So what is a social enterprise? A social enterprise is a company which is a double bottom line, right? It is looking at definitely, for example, it needs to do its profits, its revenues, its, let's say profits and revenues to start with there. But it is also an entity which has to do good. That means, like, for example, if I am, let me leave LabourNet aside and take some other example. For example, if I was a health entrepreneur, that means I need to be able to say that I am treating X number of persons who have medical problems. So I could be doing just nasal swabs, for example. So the number of people that I do it for and I marry it with the earnings is very important. I will not only deal with residential apartment complexes alone, but I will also look at the next segment. For example, for LabourNet, one of the goals we have is we're interested in jobs which are, or entrepreneurial opportunities which are less than 25,000 rupees a month. That's our target group. So anybody's family income or individual income is less than that is our goal. That's the group that we like to work with. That's why we're a social enterprise, right? So we'd be interested in all people who are from ITIs, from colleges, who are looking at this segment. It could be entry-level jobs, it could be later, but that's the segment. So a social enterprise has a dual metrics on which you monitor yourself.
Okay. I think this is good, so being a social entrepreneur today is equally as good as being a, for-profit enterprise, is something which I am taking from you. Okay. It's just that the segment which you are dealing is something, which is there. In your case, you are dealing with a 25K and less segment. That is where, and we are helping them, sustain themselves. KG, over to you.
So, I think it's an interesting factor. See, we talked about college students, we talk about what they do. Now, as they grow in their career, see, I have talked to a large section of people in the student community and those who have just come into the workforce. And we are in a different environment now because suddenly the rug has been pulled off the feet. But there are people who continuously, as you rightly said, don't keep on changing jobs, focus on learning, because the rolling stone gathers no moss. And I asked this entire generation that look back to your parents and tell me how many of and at that generation, the fathers generally went out to work, not the mothers. They would say, my father worked in the same company for 25 years, 28 years, 30 years. Now times are changing. Those 25 years, 35 years working generation is slowly going away. But it is getting replaced by a generation which has to constantly look at what's happening to reskill themselves to stay relevant. So what should the students look out for during their first decade to watch the environment around so that they don't become redundant and yet remain relevant to be contributing to the economy?
So let me take a few cases and explain this point, right? Suppose you are an ITI student. Assume that you did carpentries in the 1990s. And I'll take the life of a carpenter. It was hammer and nail, right? Then power tools came in 2000s. So then it became the drill gun. Every carpenter today has a drill gun, which is a reskilling opportunity. Now, if you look at it, you don't need carpenters to come home largely. All your furniture is molded. It happens in a manufacturing. So the role of a carpenter itself has changed. So carpenters have to actually move forward. That means in a manufacturing plant, a fitter would be the right person who will be employed to do your furniture, which is molded furniture. Buildings, you don't have windows which are wood windows anymore. Fabricators are needed, right? Now let's take in the white collar space that is there. Now white collar space we somehow think is an office desk job, right? In the 1990s, it used to be a typewriter clerk. Then the computer came, a desktop came. You started doing data entry related jobs and various other jobs related to that. So if you were a lawyer, you had a certain career path that you took. But now look at, even if you're a lawyer, look at the kind of online platforms which are coming. There are adjudication platforms which are coming, right? So like, for example, look at how much credit cards you have. We are all using debit cards and credit cards. You need somebody with a legal background when that dispute happens between the credit card company and you. This will all be done online, where somebody with a legal background plus technical will have to have. So you need to constantly look to see what do I need? That could be, I could have trained to be a lawyer, but I need to definitely know Excel skills. I need to definitely be aware of the systems. There could be various information technology systems which have actually opened up opportunities for you. So a lawyer cannot be what he or she did 30 years back. They have to do. In future, you will have such changes which we cannot even imagine. So the key is to be on the lookout to see how are you relevant. And everybody becomes irrelevant, right? Like, for example, I did economics 30 years back. Does that have relevance now? I mean, look at you guys. You guys will think of it very differently. There were no e-commerce companies then. None, not even one. Right? Today, we're all talking those words. Economies are changing. So we need to be able to go with time, and everybody has to relearn. It's not one or two of us. The question is, how often do we invest in ourselves? And learning is not, again, repeat, not necessarily a class. Learning can come from different forums, and different people learn differently. I, for example, just learn by looking at people. I love people. I just love human beings, right? Because I learn maximum from different human beings, different types of work that they do. So open yourself up to learning. Learning is a continuous process. It's not a one-time process.
I think, learning is definitely a continuous process. I'm in my 50s and, I'm still learning, and every day I learn new things. And it is more what, is something inside you which will ask you to learn more, which is there. See, looking into your profile again, I was just reading through your profile. You have amazing experience, you have actually, someone, my daughter, when she looked at your profile, she said, this is something I will like to. You are an inspiration and you are someone who everyone looks into. a lot of your experience has also been multilateral institutions, you have worked with there. So today, if I want to work with multilateral institutions, what I need to do or to be eligible to work with them, what is that it takes to work with multilateral institutions, today who are there, like UN and ILO you have worked for?
So let me put it this way. I think one should broad base it. Today, the number of foundations are very large. So don't attempt to first go to a multilateral. First attempt to build experience. See, multilateral institutions will come to you if you have the relevant experience. For example, I believe one of the reasons I got selected was because I worked in a village for about 3 years. I lived in the village for 3 years, right? I did not live in the city. So that experience became very important to me for my job market. Let me put it that way. People thought that was relevant in experience. No one is going to give it to you because you have a comfortable life. So if you think that, listen, I'll apply and get it, it doesn't work that way. The job market will think you're good when they think you have had relevant experience. Now, the 3 years that I was there, so I spent a few years in Karnataka villages, and then a professor gave me an opportunity in Bihar villages to visit 6 districts, Nalanda, Gaya, Rohtas, Sitamarhi, Madhubani, were some of the districts that I spent about a year and a half. Those experiences add up. So people looked at me at that point of time and said, hey, listen, you know what? She could actually drive work in Bihar. She lived in Bihar. She worked in a district in Karnataka. So therefore, it became relevant experience. But the work that I did was fairly, as I had told you, I was going around collecting research documents. But the fact is, slowly I ended up leading the research team. At that point of time, another thing that I constantly did was I used to review books.
Okay.
Because that was the way I got free books. The moment I reviewed, if you look at it, I proudly always say I reviewed 30 in good journals. I had 30 books I reviewed. But I put it across as 30 journal publications. But they were book reviews. What did the books do to me? Gave me knowledge, plus they gave me publication. But the world looked at it as saying that I got publication. But I got 30 free books. And I got knowledge from those 30 books, right? My experience in the village was doing market research. You could do market research, you can do any research. But the world saw it as she was a single girl. I was a young mother at that time. So they said as a mother, she could take the risk to go to villages. So she has the ability to do any job. So market looks at your experience differently from what you look at your experience. I had to take my daughter. What to do? I had a daughter. I couldn't leave her anywhere. So I said, okay. She was 6 months to 3 years where she traveled everywhere with me. But the market saw it as a courageous step. But I didn't do it because of that. I didn't think courage at that time. I just, where to leave her? Nowhere to leave her, no. So come, took her, that's it. So that's what I keep saying, that rules are for you to make. Market will change according to what, market will think what it does. And market will reward you for what it thinks it's positive. You reward yourself by being happy.
I think you are truly an inspiration, today, these are actually, you may not have looked at it, but, I also look at it, for you to go to villages at that age was a big decision, which is there. Taking your young daughter along with you was a big decision because, we look for comforts, we look for, what am I getting instead of what am I giving? Okay. What you were looking at is what you are giving, you are to get, so you have to get your publications to get books, so first you have to publish, then only you can get books, that's how you are looking at it. Today, I think these are very, very important lessons. Another very important question in today's context is, see, this is something coming out, work from anywhere and live from anywhere, because I think today, especially for the students who are in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, they were always, I call it, not a positive advantage. I was living in a small town, Agra, okay, when I graduated. And the first thing which I was very clear, if I want to do well in life, I need to get out of Agra and go to Bombay, and that's where I started my career. So I used to tell my mother when I was in graduation that I'm going to go to Bombay. I don't want to live in Agra because that's a city of dreams, and you wanted to fill your dreams through and you want for that. But a lot of people are not able to do so. And this crisis is giving an opportunity for students to work from anywhere. How do you see the, future of landscape, livelihood panning out in this whole particular thing? What are your views? What are the emerging opportunities for everyone, especially for tier 2, tier 3 city students?
So one, I think, is unfortunately jobs are still there in the big cities. That's a fact of life. But several entrepreneurial opportunities are opening up in small cities. If you're not stuck on a job in a full-time scale, there are a lot of agency-based jobs are there, like insurance agents, sales, where you say you'll do X number, you'll get this much revenue. So you sell so many things, you'll get X amount. The job market has changed. So I think this is an opportunity to use that. Suppose you can't come to the big city, how do you actually capitalize on this job market here? I think would be one which I would say. Second, I think the work for opportunity is probably an advantage. It equalizes people in big cities and small cities, where everybody is home. So whether you're in a tier 2 city or a metro city, everyone is at home. So in that case, how do you position yourself? And I'll go back to the previous point I made. See, in those days, there were only book reviews one could do. But today you have Quora, you have LinkedIn, you have Facebook, you have Instagram. Why don't you publish your thoughts? Why don't you, write about what you know? I believe writing is a great tool to express, and it does not have to be journalistic writing, right? It can be your viewpoint on a business. It can be your viewpoint on a home delivery system. And it can be intelligent articles where somebody will comment. It can be just 10. Trust me, I started using LinkedIn only about when the lockdown happened. And I used to feel very happy when someone put, like or things. I'd be, very good, celebrate it, right? Because till then I really never bothered with it. It was outside my realm. But it made me feel like a child. It made me feel happy. But why was I happy? I was happy when anybody wrote, because I felt, okay, that person has read what I've said. Let me talk to him. Let me talk to her. I told you this girl who's doing this motorbike business in Hyderabad was one of these girls who wrote to me on an article I had put, or a small note I had put out there. Another person, again, strangely from Hyderabad, Vamsi, is running a food, vegetable sales to Hyderabad, from villages to Hyderabad. Somebody was having an ice cream manufacturing unit, and that unit in Agra is closing down because ice creams nobody was buying in May, June. So he's thinking, how should he get loans? So you'll get a lot of connections. Today's world is an open world. Use work from home as an opportunity to grab opportunities for yourself. Nobody knows you're in Agra. Nobody knows you're in Madurai. Nobody knows you're in Kurnool. Who knows it? So use that opportunity. How does it matter whether you're in Delhi, Bombay, or Kurnool, or I don't know, Tinsukia? It doesn't matter.
Right. KG, over to you.
I think, Dr. Gayatri, the answers that came from you seemed simplistic, but the weight of experience behind that has actually made it so valuable. And I think that students, what they should take away from this entire session is about fundamentals of life. And that's about at that specific age, the age of between 18 and 25, when education takes over your life, and then guidance comes and says that it is great to be in that stage of life, but remember one thing: the investment on learning at this point of time in life gives you returns much later in life. So if you focus on that and keep yourself relevant to the journey of life, it will definitely help you. Apart from the fact the dignity of labor, no job is a bad job. I think what you said is very true. And your experience in tier 2, tier 3 towns, especially towns which are out of the arc lights, where people rarely go and spend time and invest in understanding the population there, you have done that. You have been there and done that, and you've also built up the ecosystem for social entrepreneurship in that landscape. And all those who listen to this live webinar and over time through the video recording will learn that no nook and corner of India is going to be away from the potential of earning a livelihood. And livelihood either there through the means of finding a job or a livelihood from an organization giving you the livelihood, or the person by himself creating the livelihood by giving another human entity the opportunity to work with him to earn. So I think, Dr. Gaidi, thanks a lot. Thank you very, very much. I think, as Mukesh always says, inspirational leaders motivate us to continue this webinar series, the 11th one in the series now. And we love these conversations with people like you. I told you last night, if there is a person who is an inspiration, it is you. And if there's a list, you are on top. I think that's spoken from the heart, the sincere of the work that you do. And this world really thrives. And this country really looks at people like you to inspire them and believe that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And that light is not of a train, but actually the light coming out of the darkness that we are there. So COVID-19 will go away sometime or other, and you will still survive through the learnings that you have had from your life. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity.
Great. And at this point, I will just address the students. And Munish has already asked these questions in the past. There are 5 fundamental questions we keep raising again and again and again. And it's about digital college placements. Colleges have placements, but the fundamentals are that the college placements are not occurring across the nation, across all towns and cities, across all streams of education. It happens once a year. And if people watching this webinar feel, yes, we all agree that, yes, this is possible to answer yes for all the 5 questions, I think what one must do at this stage is quickly go look at this slide again on the recorded video. Send us your information regarding your college. We want to get in touch with a placement in charge of your college. If you do not have a placement in charge, if your college does not have a placement system, there must be some student representative there. Stand up, call out your name, send us your name, email ID and phone number. We'll get in touch with you. We will organize this placement drive for you. And in the digital world, again, I keep repeating, distance plays no role. You can be any part of the country. This is going to happen virtually. And there are livelihood providers waiting to give jobs. I will talk more about it in the next minute. So please come back to us on this email ID and we'll reach out back to you. And in this journey, we require social entrepreneurs. And social entrepreneurs are basically people who work along with us. We have currently 13 of them working with us at Jeevitam. I will talk to you more about them. You can be located anywhere. It's a voluntary initiative. You don't earn anything for that, but your mentors who are almost having 120 years of experience among them, who will mentor you and guide you. And it's a big opportunity to learn and also contribute to this mission of ours. The mission is very simple. Har student banega Atma Nirbhar. It means every student is going to become independent. And more than independence, what we are saying is that no student should dream of using his parent as an ATM. Earn for yourself, live for yourself. It's possible in this world, and we will help you do that. That is the motto for us. So in case you want to become an entrepreneur and I'll just share a story with you. A young girl who is there with us. She's from Amroha, Uttar Pradesh, middle class family, parents in agricultural background. Studied in the St. Mary's Convent until class 8, and then went on to Aligarh Muslim University after class 9. She passed her class 12 recently. She spends time with us. She spends at least 3 to 4 hours a week contributing to our cause. Her husband is her most important hobby is to learn things every day, and she wants to break the stereotype. That's what Dr. Gayatri said. Set the agenda for yourself. Don't allow others to set agenda for you. So she is breaking the stereotype for girls. She wants to give to society, and she has agreed to be a part of us. And it is extremely invigorating for people like me to work with her on projects which have large impact on livelihood. And that's the kind of role that you can play as you work with us. So Yashi is an inspiration for me, will become an inspiration for you. Here are the 13 of them. You want to become a social entrepreneur, please write back to us, send us a mail, and we will reach out to you and talk to you about it. If you want to be a social entrepreneur in our current mission, please write to us. Having said that, I think what this entire webinar series is about livelihood opportunities. We have 40,000 livelihood opportunities available today. And that's mind blowing when people tell us that I am struggling to find livelihood and there are 40,000 livelihood opportunities available. All it means is that the one who is providing livelihood and the one who is seeking livelihood is not connected. And this platform of Jeevitam actually helps you digitally to link yourself. And it is across the nation, the kind of opportunities available. And what I would say is that if you look at it, we have ads all over the place. If you want to understand, it's the regional language, it is there. Everything there talks about only one thing. There is only one number to call for all these jobs. Call this number. It's in 21 languages. You want to know more about this? Write to us again. And if you look at it, it's across the states. So call that one number. That single number leads to an entire profile of yours getting registered. It starts linking you to the person who's providing the livelihood. Entirely technologically, you get connected. A matching occurs. We send the profile, and you start getting the phone ringing at your home, telling you you have got your livelihood. So a very simple process. Invest in that process of a simple telephone call, and you can get it. You want to know more? You want to be part of the mission? Please do write to us. And the simplicity of this entire process is here for you to see. Over to you, Manish, for your closing comments.
I think this was again a very amazing session. Thanks to Dr. Gayatri for giving us time and sharing your experiences, sharing your vision, sharing your thoughts around the livelihood, which is the one of the very important aspects in the minds of the students. You are a social entrepreneur and you are actually a change maker. And my request to you, which we really feel very strongly, and we have been talking to hundreds and thousands of students, actually nobody is taking their ownership. Today when we speak to colleges, and speak to universities, they are very much focused on giving education and providing degrees, rightly so. But ultimately, after this education and getting that degree, one of the things which comes next is finding a livelihood. Okay, I think that's where nobody is taking ownership. And the person right now who's now taking ownership is students. In the best of colleges also, where the college placement drive, it is the student who is taking ownership. So this movement, which is a student-led movement, Student Banega Atma Nirbhar, is something which we are very, very passionate about. We believe in the cause. We believe in, these youngsters are our future of our nation. And I think it is our responsibility to help them find sustainable livelihood. So thank you, Dr. Gayatri, for coming and sharing your experiences with us. It was amazing. Thanks, KD, for doing it so beautifully. We are looking for social entrepreneurs. We are looking for a lot of people, for hundreds and thousands of opportunities which are available. Har Student Banega Atma Nirbhar is something. Please log onto the same time, Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. for our next webinar, and we'll make you speak to like amazing speaker like Dr. Gayatri again. Thank you very much, and thank you. All the best.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you, Gayatri.